And then guess what? Sandra, this will be your first recording project.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. 10 people. Joyce, you're muted.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our professional development learning project experience. Know that once again, all of you are here with different agenda, but we are all have in fact in common that we are teachers, we are educators. And so this morning we have a very special treat. Our admin assistant is here with us. Sandra is going to present to you and share with you regarding her culture in Nigeria. And want to remind you, please use the chat box if you have questions, if you have comments, whether it's in Italian or English, put those in the chat box. We will address them periodically. Sandra is basically going to just continue until she gets to the end, then we'll stop for Q&A. All right, are y'all ready to go? Everybody feeling good this morning? I'm in sunny LA, Los Angeles, California this morning. And I know you are coming to us from all over the world. So thank you. All right, present to you now, Ms. Sandra Mbah.
Hello, my name is Sandra Mbah. I am a clinical psychology graduate student, and today I'm just going to be talking to you about what being a student in Nigeria is like. I am from Nigeria. I was born and raised in Nigeria. If you don't know where that is, it is located in the western parts of Africa. So yeah, I'm about to begin. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Is it showing correctly for everyone?
Yes, all of the students, being a student in Nigeria.
Okay, yeah, so being a student in Nigeria, before I begin, I want to give a brief history or information about Nigeria. It is named after the River Niger, which is the third longest river in Africa. It has more than 250 ethnic groups, which we call tribes. It has over 500 languages. However, English is the main language spoken in Nigeria, but these other languages are spoken just as frequently. It has over 200 million people plus. So it is a very big and diverse nation. And yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to start off with the school levels. We have the nursery school, the primary school, and the secondary school. So primary school is middle school, and it's from first grade through sixth grade. And then secondary school, which is high school, is from seventh grade through 12th grade. And you start first grade usually at the age of 4. And there is no specific age of when you start secondary school, and you're going to find out why. So I only did first grade through 5th. I kind of skipped 6th. And before you get into high school, you need to pass an exam. So think of it like the SAT, but it's called the Common Entrance Exam. And it is, it is very hard. I don't even know why I decided to skip 6th grade. I don't know, I was tired of school, I guess. But yeah, you have to study for it. Everyone has to take it, whether or not you skip 6th grade. Some people skip it, some people don't skip 6th grade. So I was in high school basically when I was 8 or 9 years old. So we usually finish high school at a young age, like 15. And there's no specific age again to secondary school. If you pass it, you get into it. And if you look at the picture, there they have on a uniform because every school in Nigeria has to have a uniform. It doesn't matter if it's a public school or a private school, it requires a uniform. And I'm going to be using a lot of pictures today, usually because when I speak about African countries, I like to include visuals because there's a negative stereotype or assumptions that about African countries. So I just like to, use pictures. So I'm just going to talk about the differences between government school and private school. Now, honestly, like if you would have asked me about government school, I would have said, oh, you might as well stay home than go to government school. But during my research, I realized that I was looking at government school from the lenses of someone who went to a private school all her life. I wasn't looking at government school from the lens of someone who couldn't afford, a private school, but still wanted their child to have an education. Because government school, of course, it has a lot of room for improvement, but it at least provides you some education. We're going to start with the teacher to student ratio. In public schools, the students are a lot more. And it's kind of impossible for the teacher to have a one-on-one interaction with each student in public schools. So I don't know, I feel like that's important in middle and high school, whereas in private school is usually smaller, and the students and teacher have that, one-on-one interaction. And then when it comes to funding, government schools don't really get a lot of funding, whereas private school, they have a lot, which is where private school has an advantage because you have money to buy resources and materials. Since government school doesn't get fundings as much, the school infrastructure is very low quality. You get a building, but it's not really environmental friendly. So yeah, and then when it comes to transportation, government schools, which is public schools, they don't have transportation, so they don't have school buses, whereas private schools offers you a school bus. So a student going to a public school usually would have to use a public bus, or they would walk to school, whichever one they preferred, whereas a private school, you have the option. But honestly, most people who went to private schools had their own private drivers, so they would usually just come to school with a private driver, which is what I did. And then we have financial costs. Government school is very, very, very affordable. It's not totally free. I know in America, public schools are free. In Nigeria, nothing is free. So it's not free, but it's very cheap. So usually people from low income families have the opportunity to send their child through school without having to choose which one they get to, train through school. And then when it comes to sports activities, private school provides you with a lot of sport, like a variety of sports activities, whereas public school, it's kind of limited. So basically, government schools just provide you with the basic necessity of education. It doesn't provide you the luxurious, comfortable education. That's the differences. And for the school, we have something called school prefect. And this is a big, a big deal in schools. This is like a school prefect is basically a poster child for the perfect student. It comes with a lot of advantages, perks, whatever. And to be a school prefect, it's competitive. Basically, how it is selected is the students kind of vote, but not really. The students are asked who they would like to be school prefect. And you just throw out any names. Now it is up to the teachers to decide. And they basically just have the list of names, and they also have the criteria that the students are going to be judged by. So for example, leadership traits is very important. That students have to have a leadership skill because all these roles are leadership roles. And then academic wise, you have to have an outstanding academic performance, meaning all A's. And then behavior, you have to have no bad behavior. You shouldn't have gotten in trouble at all. And you have to be clean. Okay, Yeah, your uniform has to be clean all the time. You need a good communication skills because you're literally going to be interacting with students every single day. And then, of course, the student gets a vote. So over to the right is the list of roles that are available. Now, there are a lot of them, but some schools have different roles, but these ones that I listed are the main ones that every school has. So you have the head prefect, which is honestly the highest rank. It is very respected. The head is basically in charge of the whole students. And then you have the class prefect, which is what I was, but it's important, but it's only important for the class. And I'm going to explain what I mean. Our classes it's kind of different. So for example, if you're a freshman, right, the whole freshman class, you're kind of divided into, let's say, 5 classes. So that 5 classes, the people you're in those classes with, you're going to be with them for a year. So you kind of have no choice but to be friends with your classmate and build a bond and like a family because you're stuck with them for a year. So my job as the class prefect was, if the teacher was teaching or grading something, or she left and they were making noise, I was responsible to write down the names of people who made noises, or grading work, or getting the people to sweep the classes. And then when the teacher comes back, I give her the names of people making noises and they would get punished. Yeah, I didn't really like that much, so I kind of resigned the next year. And then we had social prefects, head prefect, and the head prefect would assign all the girls a hairstyle. And then we have the sports prefect and the library prefect, which is basically, about sports and library. Okay, so this was typically what my day would look like. This picture right here is one of the schools that I went to. So 5 a.m. I would wake up every day to get dressed, get ready. My driver would take me to school. 7 a.m. school starts. You have to be at school by 7 a.m. Not 7:01, not 7:02, by 7 a.m. If you show up to school by 7:01, you're considered late and you're going to be punished. Now we have an assembly. An assembly is basically the whole entire school is out on the field. Well, we have a stage, but let's call it a field, including the teachers. And the first thing that we do is praise and worship. And then we pray every single day. We always have to pray. And this is for every school. And then after we pray, we sing the national anthem, which is where the band starts playing and the flags are being raised and the National Guard or whatever, like doing a performance. And then we have something called inspection, which is where the prefect would inspect you. Now we're going to inspect you from head to toe. So for the hair, the girls, remember, you're being assigned a hairstyle every week. So each week you're supposed to be with a new hairstyle that was assigned to everybody. No wigs, no weave were allowed in school. You have to wear your natural hair in this particular school. Well, any school, no wigs and weaves were allowed, but some school allowed you to have additional braids. But so anyway, you have to have the hairstyle done. If you don't, you were being punished. And then your uniform had to be clean. If they saw any stain, you will be punished. Your socks had to be white. If it was stained, you will be punished. Your nails. I always got in trouble for my nails, but your nails had to be short. If it was long, you'll be punished. If they had dirt, you'll be punished because it meant you didn't shower. They would check your face. So if you had any eye crust, mouth crust, if you were ashy, it means you didn't use lotion, you didn't shower, so you would get punished. Basically, you get the drift. And class schedule. So this over here was the school that I went to. For this school, we were allowed to have like additional hair, but we had to put it up in a bun, but no wigs or weaves. So for the class, we usually would have a greeting. And what I mean by that is, whenever a teacher comes in or a parent comes in, we would have to greet them. So the greeting would go like this. since I'm the class prefect, I would have to hit the decks 3 times to get everyone's attention. And it would usually be like this. And then we would all stand up and we would all say good morning or good afternoon, depending on the time. And good morning, sir or ma'am. And you're welcome to whatever class that was. May God bless you. And we sit down back. So we have to do that every time. And we had 10 to 12 classes every day, except from Friday. And usually the classes were just basically the typical classes that you also have. And then we had lunch, and lunch was for 30 minutes. So it's not really a lot because some teachers, like to go over. Yeah, so 30 was usually 20 minutes. And we didn't have a cafeteria. Well, the school, this one right here that I went to, they did have a cafeteria, but that was because it was a boarding school. And meaning that students were going to be in the school 24/7. They didn't go back home. So they needed a cafeteria. But most schools don't have a cafeteria. You usually, during lunch, you either bring your food, some people bring money to buy snacks, it doesn't matter, but you can stay anywhere. You can stay in your class, you can go to your friend's class to eat, you can stay outside, just whatever. During lunch is your free time to do whatever you want. Usually I would bring money for snacks because we had a drink shop, a snack shop, and a shop where they sold homemade food. And that's basically what I did. And then we had extra lessons. Extra lessons, think of it as a tutoring session, but not really, because then they would introduce new subjects. So I don't know, it was confusing. And so basically you're in school from 7 a.m. through 5 to 6 p.m. And then I had a private tutor. So really, I'm in school from 7 to 8 p.m. And then, well, I sucked at math, and Nigerian schools are heavy on math and science, so I needed a private tutor. And Friday was my favorite day of the week because it was gym time. Now, the gym time is different from American gym. In America, during gym, your gym class is just that one class, and you're usually in the gym, and the gym teacher gets to pick your activity, which is kind of limited. But for us, gym time was, we have the assembly. After the assembly, the whole school, right? And mind you, we all have to wear our gym uniform. So every school needs a gym uniform. You don't get to wear, just your own. And each gym uniform has a different color. Now the colors are important, and you're going to find out why. But for now, you need a gym uniform and a sneakers and a socks. And the whole school, including the teachers, we would all jog like throughout the streets and just chant songs. And then the teachers would usually get tired early. So they would say, okay, time to go back in. And we would get back in, and 2 to 3 hours is just for us to play sports. No one is hovering over you to make sure you're playing sports. It's just play sports. And we had a variety of sports: swimming, track, soccer, basketball, volleyball, tennis, whatever. So I usually would just play the volleyball and track. And when I got tired, I just watched my brother play basketball. And that was it. And then we had CRS, which is a religious study. So the Christians had their Christian class, and the Muslims had their own Muslim class. And then we had French and tribal languages, and that was the day. So special needs school in Nigeria. It's not really a requirement for every school to have, special needs, resources, assistance. If the school has it, great. If it doesn't, nobody really cares, honestly. But my school did not have any special needs assistance for special needs students. However, my best friend, her school did have special needs, resources for special needs students. They accepted them. And usually they would have classes together with the non-special needs students. And usually when they say special needs, they're including like people who can see or have hearing problem, people who have autism, just any intellectual cognitive disability. And these schools usually will provide physical therapy and a speech therapist in the school, just in case the students require them. And they also would usually have a program called independent living, which is where they try to get the special needs students to have a skill. It could be sewing or whatever. That way, they have something to fall back on, to make money, to gain some independence, to live by themselves. Because in Nigeria, if you have any disability, unfortunately, you're not really gonna get hired. That's just the honest truth. They don't really have, it's not disability friendly. You kind of get casted away. And then for activities, we typically had sports activities, cultural activities, which is drama club, music club, dance club. So I was in the dance club, which is the cultural dance club. And then for intellectual activities, we had debate, STEM club, technology club, chess club. And I was in the debates club, but it was kind of, I guess you have to be competitive. I mean, I liked it, I was good at it, but it was just too serious, so I had to quit. And when I say punishment, this is how we got punished. So we have two ways that we get punished. One of it is the timeout method. I call it advanced timeout. If you're lucky, if you're really lucky, the teacher will say, oh, go face the wall, but really, no. The second punishment is this one, which is a cane. And honestly speaking, that's what most teachers use. A cane, there's two types of cane. There's the big one, which we called koboko. And then there's the skinny one, which is this one. The big one doesn't hurt as much like you would think, but this one is the devil, okay? This is painful. And there are two places that would usually flog you, either your palm or your butt. Your butt is really your thighs. They're not really hitting you on your butt, it's more of your thighs. But honestly, I rather get flogged on my butt, because when teachers flog you on and we call it flogging, when they whoop you on your palm, they're not really hitting you here, they're hitting you here, which lands on your veins, and it is painful. I mean, painful. And you're probably wondering, where are the parents? Well, discipline is a big part of African tradition since beginning of time. But honestly, most parents are not aware of how badly these teachers abuse their power. It's abuse. It's not even a punishment at this point. And some students, they go back home and they tell their parents, and honestly, the parents come to school and beat the crap out of the teachers. And some students have gotten blinded by the teacher, because they're so aggressive with it. They just, I don't know, it's weird. But I did not really tell my mom, because I don't know, I felt like my mom is very dramatic. She would literally come to school with the soldiers, and like throw that lady in prison, because in Nigeria, there's not really a law. If you have money, you're the law. So I just did not want to make a big deal about it, but it was very hard for me, honestly, and it kind of gave me anxiety, not going to lie. But that was basically how we got disciplined. But some people say that now they don't really practice this method anymore. They just do the timeout method, which is where you kneel down, raise up your hand, and you close your eyes for like a few minutes. Now we have something called open day. Open day is Parents' Day. So the parents show up to school on that day. So you get to see everyone's parents and they show up to school, and we greet them or whatever. And the teacher brings that student's, entire, classes, the notebook. And, every page has a grade on it, what you got on the assignment. So your parents get to see your grades and your performance. And then they talk to your teacher, and your teacher tells them if you're doing good or bad. But that's pretty much what an open day is. And if your parent doesn't come on this day before school ends, you're going to be punished. So yeah, most parents show up to this kids open day. And then we have something called Culture Day. Culture Day this is one of my favorite events that we have in school. And this is like a tradition, the same way Americans have Halloween, we have Culture Day. And Culture Day is a day where you wear your tribal attire. And it doesn't have to be the tribe that you're from. It could be any tribe. You know, my sister was a Fulani girl, even though we're Igbo tribe. And it's just a way to celebrate our differences because we are very different as tribes, but it's to see the beauty in these differences. And it's just a fun day, music, performances, food, just name it. And you're supposed to perform whatever tribe you dress up as. You have to give a performance, a group of you. And I usually just did the cultural dance because I was already in the culture club. And you have to give a performance, theater performance, music performance, or dance performance. And honestly, it helped with, I think it was to unite us because these tribes, some of them have had deadly conflict in the past, but you will never know if you come to Nigeria just because they're very like together. And I guess in class, we're very diverse because it's like people from different tribes are always in class. You're always with class with different tribal of people. And different tribes have a different upbringing. So it's kind of difficult, but it forces you to learn how to get along with these people, right? People that are different from you. And I kind of like that. Also, they don't teach you about the war that we had with each other. They don't teach us about slavery, which honestly, I kind of appreciate. They just leave you to make up your own judgment yourself without anything clouding your mind, and just make genuine friendship with people. Because if I know that you did this to my people or your people did this to my tribe, I honestly wouldn't 100% be friends with you, right? They don't teach you about slavery until college, and that's if you choose to take it. And when you do choose to take the class in college, they teach you about slavery briefly, but they focus more on how African Americans were impactful because, you know, Black Americans also impacted the country that is America today. After slavery ended, they did great things. You know, they were inventing things, they were breaking records. They really did some big things, which honestly, American history classes never teach us that, but that's what they focus more on. So anyway, Culture Day is just a day for unity and love. And then we have Inter-House Sports Day, which is my favorite event of the school year. We have this once a year. It is a tradition. Every school has it each year. And basically, remember we talked about the sportswear having different colors. Well, this is where it comes into play. Your houses, which is your teams, are based on your the sportswear color that you have, which is your gym color, which is right here. And we usually, so each schools have different colors, but these 4 colors are the main colors that most schools have, which is the red, blue, yellow, and green. I'm going to be honest, the yellow teams were trash. They always came last. The red always came first. I guess they had all the athletic students. The blue team and the green team usually kind of went back and forth in second and third. I was usually always in the blue team. I don't know why, but it was also the team that had like, you know, the most fun, so people say. But yeah, you put in these teams and each color has a name. So my name for my team was Samfire. And you would all get together, right? And create a performance because they're being judged, right? You pick out the athletic students, the students who will compete in the sports activity. And then for the parade, which is down here, we had the parade. The parade consists of a king and a queen, and then you would have the 2 girls holding the flag, and everyone else is marching and doing a parade. And the judges are grading you on how clean your uniform is, how nice the king and the queen look. Are your feet, hands moving together at the same time, just whatever, they're grading you, right? And then the sport activity, each houses compete. So you have different sports, track, long jump, volleyball, swimming, whatever, you just compete with each other. And parents are invited, your neighbors, your friends from other schools are invited. This is just a way of showing off to those parents, like your money is not going to waste, basically. And then we have food and drinks, and it is just a whole party, honestly. And then at the end of every school year, we have end of the year party. An end of the year party is honestly, it's very emotional. It's like a bittersweet moment because at the end of every year, the school throws us a party. So we're done with finals, we're done with everything, no classes. Oh, and this is the one time ever in school you get to wear your own outfit. So everyone is showing off, right? So yeah, we come to school early in the morning and we decorate our classes because remember, we're in the same class with this group of people for the whole year. So they're like family. So this class is our house. Of course, you know, when it's lab classes or music class or computer class, we go to those classes, but usually the teachers meet us in our class. Anyway, so we decorate our class, you know, with Christmas, you know, things because it's during the Christmas period and we write like we sign on the board. And after that, after we get bored of that, we go to other people's classes to like see if their decoration is, you know, better than ours. And then we just have a party because in the afternoon, the party starts. There's food, there's drinks. The teachers just leave us to have fun, basically. And that is what end of the year party is. Now the university, getting into the university is very, very hard. I think in America, it's like your SAT and your GPA and you're good to go. I wish it was that easy in Nigeria. It's very difficult. So you have 3 exams and they're very big exams. You have the West African Examination Council, which we call WAEC. Now, to take the WAEC exam, you need to know your major by the end of your high school. So by senior year in high school, you should know what you want to major in. I know in America, like I've met people who's like, oh, I don't know, I'm just figuring it out. Yeah, we don't have that luxury. You can't just figure it out. You can't just not know what you want to study. You have to know what you want to study because to take these exams, it's different for each major, right? So if I'm a science student, I'm going to have to take 5 required subjects that I will be tested on. And those 5 required subjects consist of math, English, physics, chemistry, and biology. And then we have 5 electives that we have to be tested on as well. And you don't really have to do good on your electives, but you better do good on your required classes. It's important. If not, you're not going to get that major in the university. So each subject, you have 2 hours to answer the questions. And if you change your major when you're in school, you have to redo the exam again because now you have to take the exam for that major. And then there's a National Examination Council, but people don't really do this anymore because the point of this exam, you just, in case you want to go out of Nigeria and study in an African country, they would accept this, but WAEC is accepted worldwide. Europe, Africa, wherever, they accept this one. So most people, everybody honestly does the WAEC. And then the JAM is compulsory. Everyone has to do the JAM. This is a very big, big exam. It's a lot of pressure on students. Honestly, some people have committed suicide if they failed it because it's a lot of pressure. And if you don't do good in it, you don't get into school. Like you really don't. And then when you do get into the schools test you, they have their own exams. So it's kind of a lot of work that you get to do. And I'm just going to be showing you the schools that I went to. I was able to find some of their school websites. I was able to get some pictures. And this is one of the schools that I went to. It's called Learning Field School. Wow, it's just like how I remembered it, the same color, everything. It was a really big school. I think this is like just the front of it. And then we have, we have this school. This one, we had to put our hair in a bun. We couldn't let it down for whatever reason. And this is like the clubs that I'm telling you about, you know, the drama club, music club, and then you have the fashion club, which is where you get to sew clothes and they hang it up like up here is like the clothes that the students made. And this was usually our cooking class. I wish I knew how to put this out, but this was usually our cooking class, which is right here. And of course, you know, typical cooking and your lab classes. And over here is the counseling center. You know, we had like a counselor on campus. So if you needed any advice, especially since this was a boarding school, because, you know, most girls start their period, you know, early. And, you know, if you need someone to talk to about it, there she is. You don't have to come as a group. If it's private, you can come one-on-one. But if you have like a girl subject that you need advice on, you come as a group. And this was usually our hallways in class, like, you know, in school. And over here is the classes. And I don't remember the class being set up like this when I went there. It was usually like a row, you know, row format. And this was the boarding school, what the boarding school looked like. So for this particular school, it was a boarding school. A boarding school is like a college dorms, you know, you don't get to go back home. You just after class go to your dorm. That's what a boarding school is. It's just like you're in middle school and you're in high school. So this was the girls side of the hostel or the dorms. We call it hostel. And then the boys side, because they were separate, but it was in the same school. The boys were all blue, the girls was all pink. So you get it. It's like a pink theme, a blue theme. And this was like our lounge area. And basically, that's what boarding school was. It's kind of difficult. And that is the end of my presentation. So if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them.
And to unmute, thank you so much, Sandra.
You're
So
welcome.
I don't know if there are many questions in the chat box, but I think you answered a lot of the questions along the way. Some saying it was very interesting.
Thank you.
There was some who talked about the whoopings that they got, and also Connie mentioned when she taught, the kids got whippings also, and that's what they call them. Sounds probably, you're right. Some got more more involved in it than others. Some parents did, getting the whippings if kids misbehave.
Oh,
Okay, so tell me this, the classes that you talked about, what was the length of the classes at the high school level? You know, if you have 12 classes a day,
yeah.
are you passing from class to class at that?
Well, it depends on the kind of class it is. If it's a class that requires special materials like lab, music, computer, you go to those specific classes yourself. But if it's a class that just requires like a projector, whatever, smart board, just for notes, they come to us. So usually the teachers comes to our class, which is why we're kind of paired up, like freshmen will be divided into like 5 classes or more. So that whole time, those people you're paired with, your classmates, you're going to be with them for the whole year. And I think classes were kind of like an hour or 50 minutes long. It depends, but 45 minutes or so, but it was 10 to 12 classes. Only Fridays we had shorter classes. Friday was the way off.
And also, did you have textbooks? Were you assigned
Yes.
textbooks, or did you have to buy textbooks?
No, well, they give it to you, but it's not free. You pay for your books. Well, private school is not, even public school is not free, but it's a lot cheaper. But for private schools, they give it to you, but you pay for them, and you have to write your names on them so you know someone doesn't steal your book. But yeah, we use textbook.
So here's a question. What do students in Nigeria think about students in America or when they visit America? That's coming from Jessica.
They think that you guys have it easy. Yeah, They think you guys, yeah, not in a bad way, but easy, like, your professors, you can interact with them. Professors in Nigeria are not approachable. And professors, I mean teachers, they're not really approachable. They're not friendly. It's kind of, the school system in America is kind of laid back a little bit. And yeah, we don't really have that luxury.
Yeah. So the most of the students, I noticed you mentioned they have to decide on at the end of high
Yes.
school what their major is, and that's a serious decision.
Mhm.
Uh, and does it work out that everybody, all of them do that? Are they all able to choose their college major? And do they all go to college?
Oh, yes, yes. Nigeria, okay, so like the country I come from, they take education very, very seriously. Education is a big deal. The people who don't go to college never not go by choice. It's usually they don't have the money to. But even the ones that are poor, their parents literally sell things to send them to schools. So they usually, majority of them go to college, all of them, because you're expected, like, it's like a culture where you're just expected to. That's what you should be doing as a child. You're supposed to go to school, study a good major, come out, take care of yourself and your parents. So it's like literally like, I don't know, it's just like that's a norm for us. I never knew that you're not like, I never heard of, oh, college is not for me until I came to America. And I was like, oh, really? People say that? Yeah, I never heard of that. I never heard of that in Nigeria. You have to go. And when it comes to the deciding of the major, African parents, I mean, they mean well, but they kind of only want you to study science majors. So doctors, lawyer, engineers. Those are the three majors they're trying to hear you say. If you're talking about something else, they don't care about that. And honestly, most people in Nigeria, they study medicine. It's hard, but I guess, I don't know. It's just most of my friends are medicine, med majors. So I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah. So when you graduated high school, where did you go to college when you first started?
Well, I didn't go to college in Nigeria. I did middle and high school in Nigeria. Then college, I came here. Well, I was here for college.
Mhm. So is that the thing to do, to go to America for your college education?
Well, middle and well, some people, well, if you have money, some people travel outside like UK or America or Canada. But I've been here since high school. I just, we get into high school in Nigeria early. So I kind of did part of my high school, my junior high in Nigeria, and then I did high school here, if that makes sense. But some people, usually the ones who have money, come from a wealthy family, they get sent out to study.
So it's the thing to do for those that have money to
Yes,
go to another country
yes, to study. Yes. And not because like Nigerian universities are not up to part. It's just, it's like a status thing. Oh, my child, is studying abroad. Yeah.
Okay, Martina, do you have any questions that your teachers are asking that you could summarize in English and let us know what they are?
Um, yeah, Sandra, do you
Mhm.
think that uh, schools in Nigeria is like more selective?
Selective. You mean in terms of students?
Mm-hmm.
Who they pick? Um, yes, especially when you go to um university, they're very picky. It's very competitive. Very, and sometimes it's kind of corrupt. Yeah, you can score good on your exam, but then they can like sell your results to some rich kid and tell you that you failed. So it's kind of corrupt sometimes, but they're very, very picky on who they hire. Sometimes it's not fair. It's not based on a fair, scale, but
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
Thank you.
Um, Any other questions? Let's see what we have in the chat box. Do the government schools have boarding schools?
No, no, they don't have boarding schools and they don't have public school bus. You have to get there with public transportation.
Mhm, mhm. And also, the learning field, what grade were you in when you went to that school?
Um, I did first grade through I did nursery and then third grade there. And then the other school was where I did third grade through junior high
Mhm.
boarding school.
Okay. So what did you choose as your major when you were your final year of high school?
Um, well, here I did listen, it was okay. So I was already in America during college. Well, when it was time for college. And I knew, well, I have to go to college. You can't say you're not going to college. That's just one. It was very difficult for me because, of course, my mom wanted me to study medicine, and I'm like, girl, I'm not smart like that for medicine. But and they have this mindset like, oh no, if they can do it, you can do it. That's not how it works. But anyway, I was struggling with it honestly. So I went into geology, but I realized that's not for me. And then I was telling my mom, I was kind of like scared to change my major. That's why I was behind graduating, actually, like 2 years behind, because I did not know I knew what I wanted to do, but I knew that psychology was like, they didn't respect that. Because they have this mentality that if it's not medicine, lawyer, or engineering, then it's trash. And I just got to my senior year of college and I was like, okay, I'm doing psychology. I don't care at this point. I'm tired. And she was like, can't you do it like be an astronaut? I'm like, girl, an astronaut. But yeah, she has a friend who studies clinical psychology, and her friend was like, no, that is really a good major. And that's what changed her mind. But even with my Nigerian friends, they kind of look down on my major. I don't really care, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, you with psychology, you almost have to go all the way to get your doctorate. So
Yeah, yeah, they don't realize that.
okay, let's see. It's 9:40. Well, it's almost, we have about 15 minutes left. Anybody else with questions? Let's see what's in the chat box. How many, this is Connie, how many students were usually in classes? Maybe, I don't know if you already said this or not. How many students were in classes?
For private schools, I think it was around the same as this one, maybe like 15 students, or if it's a big class, 20. But it was usually like usually small size classes. But if it was government
Mhm.
schools, it was pretty big, like really big sizes.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
And I know you said you had the clubs and organizations, but
Mhm.
did you all also have, here in America, when you're in high school, it's a really big thing to have a prom. Do y'all have proms?
No, we did not do proms in Nigeria. They don't do proms. Our prom, I guess you can say, is our end of the year party, but not really. It's just a party for the students. There was no
Mhm.
proms.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, we didn't do that. Maybe now they kind of incorporate that, but it's not a thing.
And I know that kids in Nigeria, teenagers, they have access to the internet, of course.
Hmm.
You know, you have, oh, what was back then, MTV and the
Yeah,
videos and the YouTube videos. I saw in one of the pictures they were doing, you know, making the signs and all that. I know they
yeah,
probably get that from, um,
yeah,
you know, YouTube and the internet. And
yeah.
so what kinds of things how are they impacted by the Western culture, the culture in America?
Um, well, back then, honestly, we didn't, it was mostly like usually Nigerian movies you would watch. It depends on, again, your resources. If you grew up in a wealthy family, for to have like DSTV that showed American or foreign TV stations, but now they're into K-pop. They're very into K-drama, like Korean drama, Indian movies, and also American music. They follow everything American. So yeah, they're very big on it.
Yes, yes. And In your country, Nigeria, in school, do you talk very much about different cultures, and do the teachers make an effort to um, teach from the perspective of their students, to use a multicultural curriculum? Is that really important to those?
Not really. They just, because we usually, like, you grew up around different cultures from when you were a baby. Like the neighborhood I lived in were like a whole bunch of people, and our neighborhood is like very, I don't know, I feel like in America the neighborhoods are very isolated, like they don't really talk to each other. But in Nigeria, I knew my entire streets, right? Even though it's a big city that I stayed in, they're just very community wise. So you're just, it's like we're always together. So they didn't need to, like, teach from a different perspective because you're used to it, so you get along with these people. So no, they just taught just normal teaching. They didn't try to like.
Mhm. Yeah, and I did see that you do have that emphasis on where you are socioeconomically. You have those that are.
Yeah, that's really honestly, it's unfortunate, but it's really a big deal in Nigeria. There's very much a social class thing going on. Back then it was really bad, but now I guess they're kind of being humble enough. But back then, yeah, it was bad. Like if you're rich, you couldn't marry someone who was poor, that kind of bad. So
Mhm, mhm. And also, are you from uh, uh, a lineage that includes kings and queens and?
yeah, like both my parents, so my dad's side, my mom's side, they're from royal families. So I guess that makes me royalty, but I don't know, I don't really talk about it. But
Maybe are you saying more so when you go into Nigeria, you treat it in a certain way?
yes, like your village, not the country, because when you come into Nigeria, then you have your states, then those states have villages, which is where the tribes originate from. So in my village is where I'm royalty there. But everywhere else in Nigeria, no one really cares about you. Unless you have money, then they care about you. But
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm. So do you know very much about your culture, like your lineage and all of that?
Um,
What tribe you're from? And
oh yeah, where I'm from the Igbo tribe. So usually like, yeah, Igbo tribe. In Nigeria, you're usually your father's tribe. So if your father and your mother are from different tribes, you usually identify with whatever tribe your father is from. But both my parents, they're from Igbo tribe. Usually my lineage, they've married Igbo people. So I'm just Igbo. Yeah.
okay, and I understand there is a second lecture and we'll get more information about your culture. Yeah. So, this is probably one of our final questions. Projects in America with GT students and our more advanced students, we lose a lot of projects. Do you remember teachers using that kind of approach in Nigeria?
Um,
Or was it a lot of emphasis on memorization or?
well, it depends on the class. Some classes were hands-on classes, some of them were memorization classes. Like sometimes certain teachers, like my science teacher, she wouldn't write on the board, she would just lecture, and it was up to you to take notes on important things. And at the end of, I don't know, like a week or so, she goes over your notes, and you better have enough information that she likes. If not, you were in trouble. But yeah, it's kind of like both hands-on and some just memorization.
Mhm. So did you spend a lot of nights with lots of hours of homework?
Yeah.
You said you have a
Yeah.
tutor. You have a
Yeah.
tutor, yeah. So is that a tutor like we think of a tutor here in America?
But like they come to your house.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And each night to help you with your get ready for the next day homework and so
Yeah,
forth.
like math, because actually my tutor was my teacher.
Oh, wow.
It sucked. It was my teacher. So because she was my tutor, she would call on me in class and expect me to know the answer.
Now, here in America, in the last year of high school, we have a valedictorian and a salutatorian. The valedictorian is the one who has the top GPA, the highest GPA, and the salutatorian is the second highest GPA. So do you have such in your country?
No, but what we do have is you're being so in America you're being graded on like A, B, C. In Nigeria at the end of the semester, you're being graded on the first, second, third. So who came first in class? Who was second? Who was third? So your position, you see your position in class. And if it was 30 students and you came in 30, that means you failed, like you carried last, you know, you didn't pass. So that's what it was ranking, basically. We had rankings each year.
And was there much competition to be number one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it usually was. Yep.
And so if you went to the private school, how much did it cost to go to a private school?
It's very, very expensive. That's why it doesn't really open the door for anyone who's, you know, who doesn't make as much to even think of sending their kids there. So usually it ranges from 270,000 naira to 4 million, right? And you know, when you convert it to American money, it doesn't sound as much, but you know, we weren't paying it in American money. They were paying it in, you know, naira. So the same way it sounds in America is the same way it sounded to us. And yeah, it's very expensive. And there is no payment plan. So we don't do payment plan at all. Either you have it there or you don't have it.
And so you said that, what is the currency? Libra? How do you spell that?
Naira, Naira,
Naira. Okay.
yes.
Right. Do you remember when going back to high school days, we all have those subjects that we really liked, or those projects that we remember that were really, really memorable? Do you have any in mind that you remember the teachers had you assigned, and a project or an experience that you had when you were in school?
I usually I preferred my English teacher just because he was funny. And Nigerian teachers are not really friendly. So when you have a friendly teacher, it kind of stands out. But usually my English teacher, because he was just always laid back and, you know, interacting with us in a friendly manner. And since the king gave me anxiety, that really was important for me, was, you know, someone who didn't make me anxious.
Right. So our teachers, how are they well respected in Nigeria? And what do Nigerians show? I mean, how did they exhibit their feelings toward teachers?
Some people have their favorite teachers, but most of them remember not so good memories of teachers, because they like to cane you, and nobody likes that. But they don't really get paid as much. Well, if you're a professor in the university, you get paid a lot. But if you're a middle school, high school teacher, not really. But most students have bad memories of teachers. I'm just going to be honest. But yeah.
Well, are there any other questions, Martina, from the Italian educators?
No,
Any comments from them?
I think no.
All right. What about any others from our Texans or any other Kansas teachers? Questions or comments before we move toward closure? We appreciate Sandra so much with a wonderful, very rich presentation, and so knowledgeable of your culture, sharing so passionate, so many details there, very informative. And so if we teachers were to make a trip to your country, what would be some of the things you want to tell us to keep in mind if we got a trip to your country?
I don't know. Don't let them know that you're not Nigerian.
Say it again.
don't let them know that you're not Nigerian, like blend in.
Oh, blend in.
Yeah.
What if you can't blend in?
Good luck.
Oh, what can
Yeah.
happen to you if they know that
Well,
you're, what happens if they know you're not Nigerian?
well, actually, it's a mixture of both. You can get either very welcoming response, because they really like foreigners. They like to teach about their culture. Or you can get, when you go places to buy something, if they find out that you're not Nigerian, you can get ripped off. So yeah, but it's really fun. It's a fun place to be.
What about security, protection when you're there?
Yeah, you don't have that.
Your safety, what about safety?
You don't have that.
Uh, I remember one of my students whose father's Nigerian, they went back one summer to Nigeria, and he said that his father had to spend a lot of money on security, had to hire people to be outside of the place where they were staying because the countrymen would think they had a lot of money and would.
Right. But realistically speaking, not everyone has that, someone who's visiting doesn't have the money to like, oh, let me hire security. So that's why I'm like, you don't really have that. But yeah, you have to do that, because if they find out that you have, because I know I went back to Nigeria last year and my mom was like, okay, no American English, everybody speak broken English, and I'm like, we don't even know that one. Like, what? But yeah, we have to like blend in just to avoid trouble.
Okay, so
But it was fun.
in other words, you could not speak, you could not, oh,
You can speak English, but remove the American accent from it.
ah,
Yeah, because we speak English, but just take out the accent.
so give me an example of the difference, speaking it with the accent and without.
Okay, well, usually I would prefer to use pidgin, because that would mean like, pidgin means like, okay, you can, you know your way around. And it would be like this. Hi, in a day, I won't buy something from you now. I just they give presentation, and I hope saying that they like the presentation why they give. So that's what it would sound like.
Ah, and so is that with the American accent?
No. That's what
That was, okay, okay, all right. Wow, that's interesting. All right, well, we'll look forward to hearing more on tomorrow. It is now 10:02, and we don't want to keep everybody longer than we have to. So we know that our Italian teachers are going to remain on, and Martina is going to talk to you about the lecture today. And of course, this is being recorded. So the recording will be available on the YouTube website. Remember, go to the YouTube website for any of the recordings that you may have missed. And we will see you then on tomorrow, Saturday. And I believe our time is 12 noon, 12 noon Central. Is that right, Martina? Any other announcements that you can think of? Connie, is there anything? Connie is having a little technical difficulties today, so with her computer. Martina, anything else we need to say before we go? All right. Be sure to check your schedule, and hopefully everyone has done your Renzulli course, gone through that. You've done the profiler. Everybody, please complete the consent form, because the consent form says to everybody who's doing any degree of the experiences, yes, I want to participate. We have to know that. We want that consent return. So please do that. The consent form, everybody in the class, whether you're doing the intervention or not, whether you're doing just lectures or just the PD or whatever, we must have that consent form. And then also make sure that you complete the pre-test and the post-test. Those are 3 things that we really need for everybody who's engaging in this experience. All right, then. We'll see you on tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.